Thank you. Oh, really? Yeah. 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 Very basic interpretation, I think. Yeah. I think what was cool about that is, we just had fun. We didn't have any expectations. We were just trying to make something, and we did. It was our first time kind of getting that audience reaction thing where you experience your movie playing in a theater for the first time. And I'm just petrified in the audience because it's just there's for me anyway, there's few things scarier than presenting something like that. And so I'm just sweating the whole time, and it's dead silent in the theater because we've got this basically cliche slow mo and it was a little tedious after a while, and you can tell people are maybe getting bored, and then the puke starts happening, and the theater just erupts with laughter. So we definitely made an impact. It wasn't anything too cinematic or storytelling wise, but yeah, it's the first experience getting that much of a rise out of an audience, and I think that kind of started off our desire to keep trying to get laughs in the future. Yeah, I've one. I know we don't want to get hung up too much. We barely even started. I have one potentially cuttable anecdote that I just remember was an interesting thing. And Kevin Deaton was the actor in that, and he did a fantastic job. He's very captivating, but it was also kind of an interesting experience because, he takes his role seriously, and he needed to have some sort of like motivation or reason as to why everybody started throwing up, including himself. So remember being on the spot and trying to come up with the reason why he just starts throwing up. And I think it was something about how like the beauty of life just becomes overwhelming or something like that. Yeah. I mean, I think that's one of the key things to take away is that as a filmmaker, and when you have butts and seats watching your movie, you have a lot of power. And that's one of the really awesome things about the 48-hour film festivals, that as an indie filmmaker, there's not that many times, not that many chances you get to have that many people in the room, like dialed in and focused on what you have to show. So, treat that power how you will. It's a teachable moment. we wanted to get laughs. We wanted to be able to have it be goofy and funny. Which is definitely worth doing because you're still eligible for the Audience Choice Award, which yeah, yeah. And that still feels good, you know? It's still worth it. Pretty crazy. Yeah. It's been on 100% for 15 minutes. We're perfect. Yeah. Yeah. Unintentional mantra of that Filmapalooza was that song. Um, yeah, I mean, I guess I'll riff and see what comes of it. I do think, yeah, iCharon was kind of where the lessons learned in previous projects all kind of came together. And that was really the marriage of our mobility as a small team, because we were only ever 3 or 4 people. I think that was that the first year we actually had like an audio guy there, and we weren't doing you weren't doing audio ourselves. I think that was the first time Mark Messerall was there, so he helped out there, because normally it's just 3 or 4 people behind the camera and then the actors. It was also, we had our peak lineup of actors, and that kind of, I think we hit our stride with the improvisational meets the story structure thing. I also think that one of the things that we managed not to do is bite off too much, because that's kind of like, I still feel like that would be my Achilles heel, and I've done it since then. But for any new team going in, it's just like, if you can have a simple concept or simple enough to execute in that amount of time, like that's where you can really excel and do a simple thing well. Yeah, and just have a concept that you can execute and not just be kind of not telling a story at all. So Yeah. I mean, one thing I will say is that making something unprompted is hard, you know? So it almost doesn't even feel like deserving of that much credit to go off of those, because it really they help you, you know. I think overall they kind of they take some pressure off of you creatively. They give you a starting point. So you do have to embrace that. And so yeah, it's just nothing but helpful in my opinion. And I think that like if you start trying to plan ahead, then you're really removing that kind of asset from your potential. I guess you're removing that potential for creativity, because then you end up sort of shoehorning in these random things into your preconceived idea, and it's just your best results and the best time you're going to have in writing and the execution and even the results is just by embracing that chaos and creativity. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. And it doesn't help you either. And yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. No, we've been accused of it, but again, it's really just that's not how we approach the 48 at all, you know. And I don't think anyone on the team would enjoy that. And we're busy too. Like no one we're not meeting up beforehand to put work into it. It's kind of just like we have jobs and all that. And the nice thing about the 48 is it's encapsulated into a weekend. So we didn't need to, yeah, anyway. Like you said, yeah, you've been there when we order the pitcher of beer and bring out the notebooks and start from what are the prompts. And that's how it always begins. Yeah. The other little anecdote that I was just thinking about that was kind of a fun thing on iCharon. And I don't know, I like to think that we were the ones that kind of the first ones that did this. I'm sure other people have done it too, but it just kind of was a cool thing. And I believe we had to check with you, and that was on the line of dialogue. Um, and it, yeah, just yeah, an example of the kind of thinking outside of the box type of stuff you can do is the line of dialogue can be kind of a tricky thing to put in there. And what we did on I Sharon is we actually, I think the line was no way, never again, something like that. Um, we split the line up between two different people in two different scenes entirely. So one scene ended with one person saying, no way. And then it was a completely different scene. And the next person said, never again. And so that was just I don't know, I was proud of that moment of being able, you would never, ever suspect that that was the line of dialogue. I hope so. Yeah. 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 I think I saw teams do that type of thing in later years, but I like to think that we sort of broke open that kind of use it creatively. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Hmm. Nope. It's painful. Yeah, yeah. But it's a competition. Yeah, yeah. I feel like one last anecdote, maybe Kevin, you want to speak to this, is talking about the how the "Chicken in Your Face" song originated. The last clip on the audio. Yeah, which is great, and we knew that, and it's also sort of a joke in the film itself. Is like, I'm sorry, Sharon. All right, I'm gonna have to go watch this again. It's been a while. Yeah, that's a delicate. How do you subtly tell people to buy plane tickets and book a hotel and all that kind of stuff? I know some stories about this one that can't be told on the podcast. Yeah, embrace that challenge. I think so. Yeah. Yeah, that was cool. Yeah. Who'd have thought? We never, I feel like I want to just put a capstone for me on Filmapalooza because I think that leads into going to Cannes as well. So yeah, even starting locally, you gain so much experience and so much networking. And even if you never leave the city, I still feel like that's a big part of who I am, and even like my career and the work I do and all that. So that alone is incredibly important. And then you go to Filmapalooza, and that's where the networking becomes somewhat global. And there can be filmmaking opportunities and things like that, collaboration that happens as a result of that. But you also now end up having friends all over the world. And it's like I've traveled through Europe and England and Ireland, and it's just, people everywhere. I've visited people in Amsterdam and France and Italy, and it's so amazing how that happens. And you just kind of get to have this feeling of now existing on more of a global scale and have a much larger idea. And yeah, something that we I don't think ever really expected when we started doing this stuff. And we definitely never expected that we would be going to the Cannes Film Festival to be screening and seeing a bunch of those people again. And so pretty surreal. You really don't think of, oh, I'm going to do the 48-hour film festival for my city. And then suddenly find yourself in France eating oysters and drinking rosé. And yeah, yeah. I had beers with him in Amsterdam one time when I was there. Well, it's one way to feel like small fish in a big pond. because that's a difference between the short film corner, um, versus actually having a theater room booked and screening your film there are two separate things. Yeah. Yeah. We were actually like on the schedule that people could look at and go to. Kevin's sobering reality of the that side of con. But yeah, I think really the best part about it was the 48 group, and just being able to see all those people and continue building those networks, because those are your peers, you know. And I'm sure the lightning strike stories are cool, but it's certainly like if that's all you were there for, then I think you're missing a lot of the best parts of it. Because overall it was crazy amazing. It's amazing to see all those people from all over the world again. The top 10 films got to screen there, 10 and 14. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. He's a character. He's a funny actor that tends to be in a lot of winning films from Amsterdam, right, or the Netherlands, just for some added context. So he's definitely the kind of guy that you don't mind seeing in a room and being like, hey, you know, because he's kind of the life of the party. Yeah, and a great actor. Yeah. Well, I mean, I touched on it a little bit earlier, but I think this applies to both of us. But filmmaking was really the laid the groundwork for both Kevin and my career, and some of that is overlapping, and we work together, but a lot of it is separate. You know, we both work in video production now, shooting, editing. But yeah, like I didn't necessarily graduate school having studied this and pursued what I'm doing now. Like we were pursuing filmmaking. And as a filmmaker, you have to learn like every part of the production process because if you want your film to be made, you're the one that has to do it. Or you're at least like working right alongside somebody that's doing that. So it exposes you to so much. And the 48, because we've done it what 5 6 times, I don't know, 7 times in various forms and different teams. Like that's a lot of kind of, I mean, you could call it trial by fire, but you gain a lot of experience there. And it definitely was the foundation that I built my whole professional video production career on. You know, those were the things on the resume that looked good. Those were some of the first accolades. You also can win some cool stuff. Like I've probably got a few $1,000s worth of software things that were prizes throughout the years on various things. So but mostly yeah, it's the networking, it's the experience you get, and everything I do now is built upon those experiences. That's a good point. Yeah, I mean over the years I've done all kinds of stuff as a freelance editor primarily, but also video producer. I mean, we've done sports content, music content. I've traveled the world with Macklemore and Ryan Lewis, done museum content with Kevin. What else? A lot of advertising, out of home stuff, which is video billboards. And currently, I'm working for 343 Industries, which is the game studio that makes Halo Infinite. So that's what I've been doing for the last couple of years. So it's just really, I've had such a broad range of things that I've been able to be exposed to. It's just been awesome. Yeah, yeah. If you got the chance to go to Filmapalooza, would highly recommend it. Thanks, Kirk. Yes, that would be awesome.